What you hear is what you feel. Welcome to Lyrical Oracle. I'm Paz, and opposite me is the one and only John.
Hello, one and only John. I mean, hello, Paz, even.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm alright, yeah, I'm alright. It's a nice, what do you call it? It's autumn day? Spring, summer, autumn. It's an autumn day, isn't it? Summer's gone,
It's a nice UK day.
UK, yeah, exactly. Perfect day in the UK to be listening to some music and analysing some lyrics, which, luckily for you guys listening, is why you've come to the perfect place today. What have you been up to this week then, Paz? Anything of interest, musically-wise, or...?
Music-wise, just creating bits and pieces at home, and that's about it. Just messing around.
Same. I've just played Paz a nice little jazzy kind of laid-back groove that I'd recorded this morning. I think that adds to the vibe of the show, doesn't it? We're both chilled out and ready to listen to some more songs on our random song generator. And
you're going to fire it up?
I am going to fire it up. Are you going to fire up those fingers again to do the drum roll?
Fire up.
Right, so after last week's first exciting edition, where we covered, of course, Paz, you'll remind the viewing millions of what we covered last week. It was obviously Smokey Robinson. Weezer, of course.
And Rolling Stones.
And of course, Rolling Stones' classic Miss You. Right, so this week's random song generator starting off is...
What song will we get?
Well, my colleague at work, Jenny, will be very pleased to hear this one because she's the world's biggest Bruce Springsteen fan. So this week we've got Bruce Springsteen, The Rising.
Okay.
And I've never heard of this track. It was released in 2002 as well, so it's the later period of Bruce Springsteen, not his sort of 70s and 80s period. Springsteen wrote the track about 9/11. I'm not going to read any more, so it doesn't spoil our own interpretation of the song. So we're just going to fire it up now. And we'll join you again once we've listened to that song with our analysis of Bruce Springsteen, The Rising, released in July 2002.
Unfortunately, the following track cannot be played. Search for it and see what you think.
And that was The Rising by Bruce Springsteen. The Boss, I believe his nickname is, isn't it? Paz?
Well, he's not my boss.
He's not my boss either. But I believe that's one of his nicknames. I don't know who called him the boss, if it's self-titled or...
Maybe it was his PA.
Yeah, whether he ran a factory one day and they decided to call him the boss. So that was the title track on Bruce's 12th album, actually entitled The Rising. And it was released as a single, as we know, in 2002. I'm not going to read too much more because we're going to do our own interpretation of it first. We briefly touched on the fact that he wrote it in response to 9/11. So, Paz, what did you make of the song?
If you didn't mention 9/11, I would have probably seen it a different way. But it's I've kind of got it from because of you mentioned that. I'm not blaming you. Don't worry, it's not your fault. But it's I've now looked at it a different way, and I mean. When he first starts, I see it as like one of the people in the buildings, and then further on, one of the firemen's points of views, and then it gets to the religious part, and that's it. Basically, most thing from the song was basically rising up from a disaster.
Yeah, and like you say, he looks at it from 3 or 4 different sets of eyes, doesn't he? That seems to be the basis of the song. He looks at it from obviously a survivor, a fireman, and the religious elements of building again after the 9/11. What would you call it? It's not an accident, was it? A disaster. Disaster, yeah. And he sort of finishes the song in a sort of, what do you call it? A gospel kind of call of rebirth, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So the first set of lines: can't see nothing in front of me, can't see nothing coming up behind, make my way through this darkness, I can't feel nothing but this chain that binds me, lost track of how far I've gone, how far I've gone, how high I've climbed. On my back's a 60-pound stone, on my shoulder a half-mile line. What did you make of the line about a half-mile line? I wasn't too sure.
Well, I thought that would be the people coming downstairs, all behind him.
That would make sense. And he's carrying someone.
Yeah, trying to survive, help people, basically, isn't it? So.
And you can't give up because both of you will die if he gives up. So he has to keep going and keep going. Mm-hmm. Then the chorus: "Come on up for the rising, come on up, lay your hands in mine. Come on up for the rising, come on up for the rising tonight.
Together we rise."
Together we rise.
Yeah.
Or descend, I guess, or maybe escape from the rubble. Or, left the house this morning. Bells were ringing and filled the air. I was wearing the cross of my calling. On wheels of fire, I come rolling down here.
That's fireman.
Definitely.
That I was getting.
Come on up for the rising. Come on up, lay your hands in mine. Come on up for the rising. Come on up for the rising tonight. The chorus again. There's spirits above me and behind me. Faces gone black, eyes burning bright. May the precious blood bind me, Lord, as I stand before your fiery light. Again, that would go with the firemen going into the towers, wouldn't it, to help people, try and lead them out. And
it's a mix of dead and alive people as well.
Yeah. And the eyes piercing the black lights. Mm-hmm. And the next bit, I don't know if it's literal, if he read a story about one of the survivors or one of the firemen, or whether he's going for the religious element of Mary. But he says, "I see you, Mary, in the garden of 1,000 sighs. There's holy pictures of our children dancing in a sky filled with light. May I feel your arms around me, may I feel your blood mixed with mine. A dream of life comes to me like a catfish dancing on the end of the line."
Yeah. As we said, I saw it as a religious thing there, and it was talking about the dead as well as survivors. I mean, despite what the song was all about, I, to be honest, I didn't really like it too much. So it didn't hit home for me.
It was inoffensive enough.
I'm not saying it offended me, but it's as a song itself, it
was a bit needy, wasn't it? It was a bit too like, oh, I'm Bruce Springsteen. I'm born in the USA. I'm going to write this song to rebuild my nation. It was a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's trying to make something from a tragedy type thing.
Yeah, pretty much is, isn't it? He was seen as some kind of a social commentator, wasn't he, in the 80s, and maybe his way of trying to stay relevant again. Mm. But the call to arms in the outro bit is got the gospel section I referred to.
Yeah.
So the repeating lines: "Sky of blackness and sorrow," backing vocals, go Paz.
"A dream of life."
"Sky of love," "Sky of tears."
"A dream of life."
"Sky of glory and sadness."
"A dream of life."
"Sky of mercy," "Sky of fear."
You can see where we're going with this.
Yeah.
"A dream of life."
"Sky of memory and shadow."
"A dream of life."
Then he abandons it, Paz. Your burning wind fills my arms tonight. Not feels, fills. Fills.
And no dream of life.
No dream of life on that one. "Sky of longing and emptiness." We're back.
"A dream of life."
"Sky of fullness," "Sky of blessed life."
"A final dream of life."
Then he refrains back to the chorus one last time of "Come on up for the rising. Come on up, lay your hands in mine. Coming up for the rising. Coming up for the rising tonight." Mm-hmm. Now, I said to you when we were listening to it, Paz, I'm not too keen on lyricists, and one that pops to mind is the Manic Street Preachers, who've obviously sat down beforehand and written these wonderful lyrics out, which they're really proud of, and then they kind of try and shoehorn them into the music, and it doesn't really flow with the melody of the song. And there was occasions in this where Bruce kind of changed the melody and sort of rushed words and stretched words out to try and make them fit the melody of the song. And I'm not sure if that's a traditional way that he writes songs, or whether he's just, because this event felt so much to him, that he thought that he would do that on this occasion. But yeah, it was like a country kind of twangy feel, wasn't it? I guess American country music, kind of pop.
I suppose that's how we can look at it.
Yeah, but another very literal song. I wonder if we'd have come up with a different interpretation if some idiot hadn't have told us what the song was about from the description on the random song generator. Speaking of the description of the song, this is what Wikipedia has to say about that particular song. We've read the first bit already. Springsteen wrote the song. Springsteen wrote the song in reaction to the September 11 attacks on New York City in 2001. It gained critical praise and earned Grammy Awards for Best Rock Song and Best Male Rock Vocal.
That's
more
what
to
I'm saying.
do. More to do with the theme than the actual content of the.
It's like his label. Someone said, "Look, if we do this now, we're going to make some money."
Yeah. You're seen as the face of America, born in the USA. Write a song about that. As well as being nominated for Song of the Year, Rolling Stone named it as the 35th best song of the decade.
Really?
And VH1 placed it 81st on its list of the 100 greatest song of the noughties.
Yeah, see, that's where I don't know who's writing this stuff.
His marketing team are on fire. Look, next one. It was used as the end credit songs to the broadcast of the 2002 World Series on Fox Sports. So how many people watched that? Blimey. The song was written late in The Rising's development, The Rising as an album, which he called The Rising, and was meant as a bookend to the album's Into the Fire. Springsteen could not let go on one of the central images of that day. Those who were ascending into, he said, what? They didn't know what they were going into, but they just had to go in and help people. Thus, the song tells the story of a New York Fire Department firefighter climbing one of the World Trade Center towers after the hijacked planes had hit them during the attacks. The lyrics depict the surreal, desperate environment in which he finds himself. The choruses, however, are more upbeat, featuring a more pronounced drum part and a la 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 vocal parts that suggest a hallelujah. But as the song progresses, the verses trace the ever more dire and desperate situation. Images of fire engines and the cross of St. Florian are introduced. Was it? And then
it says I'm wearing the cross. I'm guessing that's what it is.
I guess that's the cross that the firefighters wear to keep themselves safe. And then in the cemetery, like Garden of a Thousand Sighs, a reference to Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, a series of final visions, his wife, his children, and all his human experiences. You know, the bits where you were singing your backing vocals, Dream of Life, that was that part there. The song's religious imagery also includes references to Mary Magdalene. As we touched on. Meeting the risen Christ on Easter morning, I see Mary in the garden and the blood of Christ. Although Springsteen has stated that the Mary in the song could also be the hero's wife or lover. Writer Jeffrey, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that Polish name, Siminkiewicz, evaluates the song as an Easter-like anthem arising out of the darkness and despair of September 11th, a national Good Friday experience if ever there was one.
I think less said about that.
He won a shitload of Grammys for it and all around the world. Plays it live. Campaign and political use. The Rising was first used as a rally song for the John Edwards campaign. I don't know if he was what side of the political spectrum he fell on. Yeah,
but that just shows how they all try and milk it so much, isn't it? So obviously someone running for whatever said, oh look, they're loving this song because it's about this, and I'll jump on it as well.
Here we go. Joe Biden's 2020 presidential campaign also created a video using The Rising called Rise Up as the Democratic National Convention. It features video segments of people in the Black Lives Movement as well as people uniting in the fight against COVID-19. Springsteen and his wife Patty Scialfa appear in the montage of people. Nancy Wilson of Heart recorded a cover version of the song released in October 2020 ahead of the 2020 presidential election. Well, there we go. What do we say? What more can we say, Paz? What more?
I don't want to say anymore because I will offend America, apparently. Every show we have to offend.
Well, you're in good company, Paz, because I've actually offended America before. I put a post on when Lance Armstrong got prosecuted for doping. I put a post on his official page kind of saying to him, very well, but he's now retired about 20 years ago, and all his good work in cancer charities, all you're doing is just stopping people donate to his cancer charities. And I got hundreds and hundreds on my Facebook page of people giving me abuse, telling me to mind my own business. And the best one was, go and drink some tea, you limey bastard. So Americans told me to go and drink some tea, you limey bastard. I always remember that one.
You should have took a picture of a cup of tea.
Yeah, I should have done it
up
and
there.
replied it back. But that was my point, being that the guy that is the Needle with Lance Armstrong and hunted him even after he'd retired. All he was doing at that stage was Lance Armstrong had built this big cancer charity, hadn't he? And all he was doing was denigrating Lance Armstrong's name, rather rightly or wrongly, but it was going to stop people contributing to that massive cancer charity, wasn't it? That was my point. So I think it was a price paid that didn't really need to be done. I mean, he'd retired, he wasn't racing anymore. Some people, it was the principle of the thing, wasn't it? But yeah, I upset the whole of America, so feel free to join me in my club.
Well, that's it. I don't rate the song. I think it's just not for me. I think all the things behind it were not for good reasons, whether they want to say it was or not. And then the way it was used as an anthem, and then all these political people jumped on it because they thought America will vote for them because of it.
Yeah.
That type of stuff I just don't get, you know. So, yeah. And I just don't... as a song, as I say, if I take it as a song, no matter what it's about, I just didn't like the song itself. So that's it.
And that was Bruce Springsteen, The Rising. So time for the random song generator to rescue us from Bruceville and take us in another direction. So random song generator time.
What song will we get?
Right. Now, I don't know this artist and I don't know this song. I don't know if you're aware of them, Paz. So it's an artist called Jackson Browne, called Running on Empty from 1977, this track. And I'm not going to read anything about it this time because last time, obviously, it kind of tipped our hat somewhat as to what it was about.
Running on Empty sounds familiar, but whether it's that or not, I don't know. We'll find out.
Here we go.
Unfortunately, the following track cannot be played. Search for it and see what you think.
And that was Rolling on Empty by Jackson Browne.
No, it wasn't. It was Running on Empty.
It was running. It was running. Take two. That was famously the sister song to Rolling on Empty by Jackson Browne, called Running on Empty by Jackson Browne. It was released in February 1978. How did it do? Let's have a look in the charts. It got to number 11 in the Billboard charts in America, and number 72 in UK. Blimey, it didn't do a lot in the UK. It's more of a famous song in America, obviously. Do you want me to read a bit about the history of the song, or should we do our interpretation and then go into that?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, looking at, I'm in the enviable position of having read the Wikipedia page on what it was actually about. So if you'd like to go first,
yeah,
Paz.
I mean, it was a simplistic way of saying we're on a journey going through life. Don't know where we're going, kind of what is the meaning of life, but every different age that we get to, we're still on that journey.
Yep, he's name checking the different ages, isn't he? So first set of lyrics: looking out at the road rushing under my wheels. Looking back at the years gone by like so many summer fields. That's a nice line. In 65, I was 17 and running up one. I don't know where I'm running now, but I'm just running on. It's nice. That's a nice, good, solid start to the lyrics there. And then he goes into the chorus, which is running on empty. Running on, running blind. Running on, running into the sun, but I'm running behind. Mm-hmm. Second verse, he name checks a different period of his life. In 69, he was 21. And he called the road his own. I guess that sort of alludes to a bit more confidence about him. He's more of an adult. I don't know what that road turned into the road I'm on now. Any thoughts on those first two verses there, Paz?
Well, as I say, just talking about as you're getting older and the journey of life, really. And we don't know where we're going, and we don't know where we're going to be in 2 years' time, next year, tomorrow, basically.
As he alludes to in the verses, the journey is still ongoing, but you're different ages and different reference points, but the journey continues. Then when we get another chorus about running on empty. Third verse, everyone I know, everywhere I go, people need some reason to believe. I don't know about anyone but me. If it takes all night, that'll be all right. If I can get you to smile before I leave. Oh, what a wonderful sentiment. He doesn't care what he's doing as long as he can get someone to smile or cheer them up.
I mean, that's the other thing that kind of in the background where he's talking about love and making him smile, and as he says, you tempt me and things like that, but I took it rather than about a woman, it's about life itself.
Yeah.
And loving life.
I really enjoyed this song. I like the melody. I like that little piano line that was repeated in the verse. It just repeated twice, and he sang each line of the lyric. It sort of ran over that little repeating melody on the piano twice. It's really nice. Looking out at the road rushing under my wheels, I don't know how to tell you all just how crazy this life feels. He's a good lyricist, this lad. Look around for the friends that I used to turn to pull me through. Looking into their eyes, I can see them running too. Yeah, he's good, this lad. I might have to check him out a bit more, actually.
We're all running together, basically.
Yeah, he's wicked good lyricist, that. Lyricist, good lyrics. Running on empty, so the chorus again. Mm-hmm. And then any thoughts on that third verse there? It's nice.
Yeah, as I said, it's just everyone, no matter who you are, where you're from, we're all running this life journey.
And he's not on his own. He's got your friends sometimes.
Yeah, so it looks around and they're running too.
There's a great Pearl Jam lyric that I always loved in Thumbing My Way. It says, every once in a while I get a ride. You know, it's about sometimes people help him along and sometimes he helps people along. Just thumbing his way back to heaven. As Eddie Vedder says in the Pearl Jam song, Thumbing My Way, which is a classic. Then he finishes off on this nice outro, which is kind of at the choirs and the harmonies and the melodies to lift it up as a final piece, which is a great songwriting tool. Honey, you really tempt me. You know the way you look so kind. I'd love to stick around, but I'm running behind. You know I don't even know what I'm hoping to find. Running into the sun, but I'm running behind. And I guess that's just him saying, we don't know what's going to happen, but that's all right. That's good. You know, it's the excitement of the unknown that we're running into. It's all about enjoying the journey and not the destination, isn't it?
Yeah, until your last breath.
So if we now look about what the song is about. So Browne wrote the song while driving to the studio each day to make his album The Pretender. I was always driving around with no gas in the car, Browne was quoted. I just never bothered to fill up the tank because how far was it anyway? Just a few blocks. The song starts off with an immediate propulsive backbeat with a melody carried by a piano, which we touched on, and throughout laced by David Lindley's distinctive lap steel guitar work. Browne receives vocal backup from Rosemary Butler and Doug Hayward. Rolling Stone writer Paul Nelson saw Running on Empty as embodying a tenacious win or lose duality and being what daydreamers have nightmares about. Billboard magazine described the song as fiery rock and roll that continues in intensity throughout the song, whilst containing serious lyrical content from the singer-songwriter's identifiable gritty vocal. With its number 11 peak in the Hot 100 charts in spring 1978, Running on Empty was Browne's third biggest hit single in his career, trailing only Doctor My Eyes and Somebody's Baby, and subsequently became his most played song on classic rock radio formats. And do you know why, Paz? I'm about to tell you why.
Why would that be then?
The song featured prominently in the 1994 film Forrest Gump as the main theme for the running montage, which famously featured in,
that's probably where I heard
in
it
the
from,
film,
maybe.
In which the title character treks across the United States on foot. There you go. It seamlessly linked into the political aspect with the Bruce Springsteen song from previous. In 2008, Browne sued presumptive Republican presidential nominee John McCain of the Republican Party for unauthorized use of his track Running on Empty in a television commercial mocking presumptive Democrat nominee Barack Obama's energy policy. The case was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum in 2009 when the McCain campaign, the Republican Party, issued a joint apology for using the song. Various concert clips of Running on Empty from during and after the 1977 are known to exist. Through none of the concert where the original audio is taken and no formal music video was ever released. Okay, so it was added on afterwards, those crowd noises.
Okay.
Yeah, so one other aspect that we discussed before we started recording again, the drummer, I thought it was really, really nice. The drummer, he just carried that song beautifully, and he was opening his hi-hats and his lovely snare sound he had there, and just a nice swing and a groove. And the sort of emphasis bits that are dun, 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 really good drummer. And I clicked on the drummer's name, and it turns out he's quite a renowned, well-respected drummer who worked on a lot of, well, it's a who's who of musicians, isn't it? His name is Russ Kunkel, wasn't it, Paz? And can you remember some of the artists that he's famously worked with?
No, I can't remember.
Joni Mitchell, Neil Diamond, Bob Dylan, Art Garfunkel, Carole King, Stevie Nicks, Linda Ronstadt, Carly Simon, Stevie Wonder, Neil Young, and Warren Zevon, whoever he is. He was also the studio and touring drummer for Crosby and Nash in the 1970s and played on all four of their studio albums. Quite a good drummer, so he had a lovely feel about him. He's still alive, age 73. Check him out, pop pickers. Ross Kunkel, legend of the Styx. Anything to add on that song before we move on to our third and
obviously
final?
Obviously more upbeat that was.
Nice, wasn't it? I like that.
Not too bad.
So as a singer-songwriter myself, I like the lyrics, the rhyming patterns, the melodies that he came up with. That's a beautiful little song. I'd have been proud of that one myself. Jackson Browne. Good effort. Okay, so leads us on to our third and final song of the week. So, if you'd like to cue up your fingers for a drum roll, I will cue up the random song generator. So, what have we got?
What song do we get?
Oh my good God. Oh my... Woo! That was a live recording of my dismay. Guess what we've got?
Rolling Stones?
Yeah, we have. Oh God, Jesus, damn it. Oh God, Lord. Brown Sugar by the Rolling Stones. Jesus Christ. I think this random song generator was populated by the Rolling Stones management to get us to listen to their songs. Shall we skip it, Paz? Or do you actually like Brown Sugar? Was that one of the ones you said you actually don't mind?
No, yeah, I think... Do you know what? Just because we can, let's just fire it up and do something
Paz,
else.
what are you doing? Oh, do something else, I was going to say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, random song generator, you've let us down badly on that one. So, can we fire it up this time? And can you put some magic in your fingers this time? Because I don't want to... For the next one's Rolling Stones as well.
What song do we get?
Oh, so this is more a bit of you.
More a bit of me.
Oh, no. I shouldn't have said that either, because of what I'm going to have to say. What I meant was this is a bit of you because you like R&B and hip-hop. Not... This is a bit of you because this guy has actually been in prison for paedophilia.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yes.
So I'll take it as
do you
R.
accept
Kelly.
my apology? Yes, R. Kelly. Yes, R. Kelly. A song called
Just
Ignition.
so everyone knows I'm not.
Yeah, so just clarify that the reason this is a bit of you is because you like hip-hop and R&B.
More hip-hop than R&B.
Yeah, more hip-hop than R&B. Do you know this song, Paz? R. Kelly, Ignition.
Yes, I am very aware, and there's a remix to it as well,
Is that?
which is probably better.
Okay, should we listen to the remix or?
We can listen to it, whatever. But now you've made me out to be a very bad person.
We better skip that one, don't we? Should we do this one or not? How do I introduce R. Kelly though without mentioning that?
I don't know.
Should we do him or should we just leave him out in? This will be on our B-sides and rarities album, the time where I inadvertently called Paz a paedophile.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Right, our next track then. Let's get the random song generator going. So,
Third time lucky.
Third time lucky. Right.
What song do we get?
So we have got a band who I've heard of them, but I've not checked out any of their material. So this is going to be an interesting one for us. It's a band called MGMT, Paz, and their track "Time to Pretend," which was released in 2008. Do you know that one?
I know the MGMT, but whether that's the track I know, I don't know.
We are about to find out, my friend. Let's press play on the YouTube and find out what we've got. We'll speak to you on the other side, pop pickers.
Unfortunately, the following track cannot be played. Search for it and see what you think.
And that was Time to Pretend by MGMT, which was released in March 2008 and featured on their debut studio album Oracular Spectacular. What did you make of that one then, Paz?
That is the song I thought it was. Well, I thought that where I've heard the name from. I do like it. That is more me, shall we say?
Yeah. R. Kelly.
than the other one, yeah. Yeah, no, I liked it. It's obviously a song being called Time to Pretend is about putting on that act, that persona that they do through their music.
Yep.
Living out a famous life and dying famously as well.
Yeah, I've written down it's about rock stars being disconnected from reality and everyday life and making a conscious decision to walk away from, everyday life. And the lyrics kind of allude to the things that you miss out on from everyday life by living in that bubble and, living fast and dying young and getting into all the mischievousness of being a rock star. So the first couple of lines actually allude to the mischievousness. So I'm feeling rough, I'm feeling raw, I'm in the prime of my life. Let's make some music, make some money, find some models for wives. I'll move to Paris, shoot some heroin and fuck with the stars. You man the island and the cocaine and the elegant cars. Wow. I think that's making a reference to Epstein's Island, isn't it? With the infamous Epstein's Island, where famous people used to go and allegedly sleep with underage models and girls and stuff. Anything to make of that first?
I don't know why you're trying to...
R. Kelly? R. Kelly, have you got anything to make of that?
I don't know what's going on here. Trying to make me look really bad. In another way, I agree with the first 4 lines. That we should do that ourselves. But yeah, it's as already said, it's putting on that act, seeing that lifestyle, the famous lifestyle, all the money, the honeys and all that stuff, and having such a beautiful life.
But not. So they go on to say in the next verse, this is our decision to live fast and die young. We've got the vision, now let's have some fun. Yeah, it's overwhelming, but what else can we do? Get jobs in offices and wake up for the morning commute. So it's just saying, it's kind of a bit cliche to go down that rock and roll route, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Drinking and drugs and partying hard, but what's the alternative? It's being everyday, it's being normal. Also, they go on in the next verse to say, forget about our mothers and our friends. We're fated to pretend. We're fated to pretend. That's actually the chorus, isn't it? I just realised. Yeah. Which is the name of the song, which goes along with what we've discussed so far about them putting on an act and, going down that rabbit hole of rock stardom rather than the choices of living a rabbit ears normal life. Anything to add on those two, that second verse and the chorus there, Paz?
Not really, no.
No? Okay. Moving swiftly on then. I'll miss the playgrounds and the animals and digging up worms. I'll miss the comfort of my mother and the weight of the world. I'll miss my sister, miss my father, miss my dog and my home. Yeah, I'll miss the boredom and the freedom and the time spent alone. Now that could possibly allude to a child star, couldn't it? Like Michael Jackson or someone who loses out on the normality of childhood to go off and be a rock star and then has trouble adjusting to the demands of that lifestyle and what they've missed out on. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I think here I could see it 2 ways. That one is actually saying, I do miss that and I miss being the actual me as a child and growing up. Or it's just being sarcastic. If you can take it that way and say, look, I'm not really going to miss all that stuff.
I don't know.
But I think it's less sarcastic just because of the comfort of mother. But
yeah.
And again, we don't even know if he's still got his mother or whether he fell out with his mum as well, which is another thing. But I think I'm just going on a completely different way. I'm trying to see it more than just one way of he's just missing being a child. Also
in the verses I've written down a beautiful distorted bass line which carries the song. I know it's got that little synthesizer which carries it through, which is catchy, but it's got a beautiful distorted boom 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 bass line in the background which just carries the whole song through and makes it really funky and really good. I enjoyed those ones. Now the next bit I really enjoyed. It's got some ABBA-esque harmonies in it. It gets higher and higher. It's like four grouping. What do you call it? Couplets. They're not couplets. If there's what's quadlets? Would there be quadrillets rather than
Quadrillettes.
couplets? So there's 4 rhyming sections, and they've got these beautiful ABBA-esque harmonies. They just get higher and higher, and you can hear where it's going, and it's wicked, and it goes. But there's really nothing we can do. Love must be forgotten. Life can always start anew. The models will have children. We'll get a divorce. We'll get some more models. Everything must run its course. But that part was the best bit of the song for me. It's kind of, I guess you'd call it a mid-late, because it doesn't really go with the melody of the rest of the song, but the ABBA-esque harmonies, as I keep touching on, and the way it rose up through the register, and there was two or three-way harmonies with the singers. Now, we also said, didn't we, when the song started, we weren't sure the singing style, whether it was a man or a female singer in this band, so I'll have a little look now while you talk about that ABBA-esque melody in the middle 8 there.
Yeah, well, again, it's just carrying on the putting up an act and saying, yeah, we'll do whatever we can do, but there's nothing we can do but carry this on. Like, it's just having to keep that act up, like not dropping it. You can't pretend to be who you used to be or pretend to be someone else. You've got this act, you're famous now, this is how you're known. You need to keep it like that. And then obviously it talks about having children with these models and making more kids. And finding some others. It's like there's it's never ending cycle, basically.
I have got the answers. I was just enjoying you trying to feel desperately to try and buy me some more time. So it's actually two guys that are singing. So it's obviously the higher register of one of the lead singers. So Andrew Van Wingarden and Benjamin Goldwasser, and even the other band members that do backing vocals, they're all men as well. So doesn't seem to be any female backing vocals mentioned. So that's some nice harmonies in that mid-late bit there. I'd like to listen to that song again just to hear that bit. They kind of finish off the song after this with "We'll choke on our vomit and that'll be the end. We were fated to pretend, to pretend. We're fated to pretend, to pretend." It sort of goes down that infamous freak show kind of way that travelling pop stars are, kind of the analogy of pop stars and rock stars being modern day
overdosing and stuff.
Freaks that travel. In the old days of freak shows, used to go around and people used to point at them and laugh at them. Nowadays, rock stars and musicians go around the world and people look up at them and sing and point at them and laughing. So it's kind of been a analogy that's been made before, that musicians are modern day freaks. I'd agree with that. us being musicians ourselves, and obviously R. Kelly famously being a musician himself as well. Okay, let me see what we've done our interpretation. Let's see what the background of that particular song was. Obviously, I've skipped through to MGMT now. So, background: the track was originally recorded for the Time to Pretend EP and re-recorded for their later album, who I can't actually say what that album's called, Oracular Spectacular. From a quote from Live at Abbey Road: "We wrote Time to Pretend our senior year of college, and the music was inspired by a praying mantis we had in our house. She laid eggs and it died, and we laid the egg case on this kind of model pirate ship on the mantelpiece, and the eggs hatched and all these baby praying mantises were climbing up the rigging of the ship, and it was pretty crazy. So the music was inspired by a praying mantis that liked to dance to the Clash, laughs, and the lyrics are just about us imagining being rock stars, and fantasy rock star life." I guess that was one of those examples of sarcasm being lost in writing, isn't it? So it was obviously wasn't about that at all, but that's what they said it's about, trying to think up a random scenario for the song to be about, whilst then revealing that it's just about them imagining being rock stars. Did you enjoy that one, Paz?
Yeah, that's probably my favourite one out of 3.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. I did like the second one or the third one, that
I'm guessing
Jackson
the second
Browne one. Yeah, that was quite good. That's quite good. Didn't enjoy the R. Kelly one. That's rightfully skipped on, and bloody Rolling Stones again. It's a stitch up. I think we're going to have to
send a new generator.
Yeah, and the new generator's going to have to stand out.
Needs a backup generator.
It's going to have to stand out in the rain and think about what it's done, stand in the corner. So that's some 3 good choices again this week. Yeah, which you liked all 3 of them, did you yourself, or?
As I said, I think it was just the last one.
Just the last one, yeah.
Then the second one was all right, and then I didn't like the first one at all.
I can't even remember what the first one was. That's how...
It's Bruce.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bruce and his attempts to sway favour of the American people.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bruce was obviously this week's Rolling Stone, wasn't he?
It's got to be one, hasn't it?
Every week we've got to have a ageing band who we don't appreciate anymore. So that is episode 2 of Lyrical Iracle. More fun and games next episode. You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, can't you, Paz?
I'm sure you can.
Yes, if you just search for Lyrical, and there is a little logo on there which Paz has designed nicely for us, which incorporates lyrical and Lyrical, and it's kind of like chalk painting, would you say? Or graffiti kind of?
I didn't have any high-tech equipment to do it. Just used paint, so it's a lovely paint job.
So that was Paz's equivalent of a monkey throwing shit at a wall and smearing it all over the wall, and he's come up with the logo, which you can find on our YouTube and Spotify accounts. Thank you for joining us this week, people, and we hope you enjoyed us talking inanely about 3 random songs, and I hope you learnt or appreciate some new songs there, or got a new appreciation or a new depreciation of some existing songs. So we have been Lyrical. I've been John.
And I've been Paz.
And as we said last week, which can now be our catchphrase, cue end credits.
Lyrical. What you hear is what you feel.
Lyrical, lyrical. What you hear is what you feel.